guys, Dorothy here today, and we're here today to do our 25 days of Christmas ephemera. So I wanted to, come on and do that. So let's get started. I don't want to take up a bunch of your time. So this is day number 4. If you haven't seen 1, 2, or 3, I will link them below. They're also in a playlist, the 25 days of Christmas. So for 2019, be sure to check that out. This is the page we're starting with today. And we have a Merry Christmas in a postcard size. We have a smaller postcard size here with the trees. It says a very Merry Christmas to you. We also have our bird here, which is really cute. So this is what we're working with today. And I've already cut them out. I'll try to see if I can, there we go. Hopefully you guys can see that really well. It says a very Merry Christmas to you. Here's the Merry Christmas. And there's the bird. So that's a nice long one. So, I'm gonna get started. Let me see. The first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna start with the basic simple one first, and we're gonna do our Merry Christmas. And so what do you do first? Let's ink it up. And I know I could have inked this up before we came on camera, but I try to ink really fast, and some people, maybe not know how to ink, and I was gonna fast forward, pause the video for that, but a lot of people said they would really, like to see that. Again, I'm using art glitter glue. I'm just gonna glue this on my tea dyed or coffee dyed paper, or cardstock, whatever you want to back it with. I'm actually using the tea dyed because I like the vintage feel you get from it. And I'm just going to leave about a 16th. Let me make sure that you guys can see up here. Can you guys see it all? Yep. And I'm going to leave about a 16th of an inch or so around the edge. Just enough. And this is going to be probably our simplest thing that we're making today. Let me grab my scissors. And again, I'm going to cut along the edge, just leaving about a 16th of an inch. And it doesn't have to be exact. Might make it off. And everybody knows with junk journals, it's #1 rule. There isn't any. Exactly. So, let me put my ink stopper in. I had somebody message me about this. I actually made this. I don't know if you can... It's just a little dangly that I made. It's pretty simple to make. If you're interested in seeing that, let me know. Not a lot to it. So we're going to ink around the edges again. We did that coffee dyed paper. And again, pretty simple. And this is really good. I know somebody asked about, and then we're going to flip it over and ink the back. Somebody asked, about layering and that type of thing. And we are building up to that. You have to realize we do have quite a few new people that, have never done junk journals, or they're just starting to do junk journals. So I'm sort of trying to step into, so it will build up. Okay. So I want to make sure I know where my top is, put it down. Then I have a piece of, this is actually part of an Instant Ink. The little boxes that your HP Instant Ink comes in for your printers. And if you've never, done anything with the HP Instant Ink program, that's what I print out all of my digitals with. It's an excellent, thing. You have to have a special printer for it. But, and I'm going to ink this up just by dragging it across there. Anyway, this was the piece of cardboard off the box, and then I just took this part of the, the one part, and just ripped the back off. Let me see if I have a piece of cardboard real fast. in my box over here. I'm looking. Well, it's not the same box, but how you have, you know, you have two sides of the cardboard, and then you've got the, if you sort of pull that off, and you can use that for, you know, a scrap to do whatever with. And I just keep sort of playing with it, trying to get under there to pull that edge off. And you just keep doing that and working it till you get all of that paper off. Now, like on here, you can see there's a couple places I didn't get it off. And if I wanted to get it off, I could, let me find my Tim Holtz scissors work good with this. I could just go like that and pull it up and pull it off like that. I sort of like it on there because I like having that not so perfect look. But like this one, you know, I can clear, these are a lot bigger. So let me see if I can clear off a little bit. Enough to show you on a, well, it's probably enough to show you. Let me pull a scrap piece of paper out. So like if I ink this one up, I mean, you can see the size difference in those. So like with this one, and you just ink it up, and then you rub it, and I make sure I rub it pretty hard, lift it up, and you're going to get that, it's not perfect, but you get that line where you can journal on the back of something. Now this one's a lot smaller, which would be great for like decorations, maybe to use on a tag, you know, as a stamp. If you wanted lines or whatever, I wouldn't maybe use it for journaling so much because, as you can see, the lines are a lot smaller. So, you know, if you had a really, really small tag and you want to do it, you could. So, hopefully that'll help somebody out. So, if you don't have like a line stamp, there's your easy way to get that and not cost you a lot of money. So, and then I just ink it up in between. And then I'm going to make sure. And then I just sort of ink it up. And you can tell, if you look, you just sort of line it up. I'll show you in a second. Okay, so let me re-ink this again. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I just sort of slide it around. So, let me see if you can see this sideways. Okay, you can see where the lines are. And you can see here how you have that. You just want to match those up. So when you lay it down, if you look from the side, you can actually line that up on top of where those other ones are. And that way you can continue your lines on right where you left off. There you go. So now we have a lined journaling card. So let me pull this out over here because I forgot to show you guys what we're doing today. It's one of those days, guys. So we're doing our line journaling card, which we just completed. So that's one down. Then let's see. Okay, these are the ephemera we made from yesterday. We're doing a pocket, and we'll use the shimmer gel medium that we made in a tutorial that I posted earlier. And we also used it up here, so it sort of toughens that paper up and does several different things. So we're going to use that, make that pocket. And then we're making this card. Or tag, sorry. So just a little tag with some feather shimmer netting. So let me just pull those out so we have those to reference. Sorry about not showing you guys. You would have seen them in the picture for the thumbnail, but there you go. So we got that card done. So let's move on to, let me find my paper. Okay, my paper. So we're going to build up and do our pocket, and we're going to use this card. So what I did is I just took my scissors and just fussy cut around the trees and the little barns. So And I just sort of, I didn't do anything exact. I just sort of weaved in and out of the branches and just did the best job I could. I didn't take a lot of time at it. Hopefully you guys, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Just goobing around them. Then you gotta go up around the edge of the barn. Make sure I keep the snow-covered tops. Come back up with the snow. And then I'm gonna go around this. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And we may even do this one, I'll maybe do this a little bit different than I did the other. So, I find, here we go. I'm actually going to cut around this part that says a very Merry Christmas to you. And we'll use that on the page this time instead of leaving it off. I just sort of round it off. There you go. So, I mean, you can keep that, the little trees, if you wanted to do something out of, or get rid of his scrap. Let me get, I want to use a corner rounder. I actually use my envelope punch. Probably the easiest for me to do. And it's a Stampin' Up. I just slide it in there and push. But it's Stampin' Up envelope board. So there's what we have left when we get done. Make sure I'm back up here. I changed the settings on my camera to try to get it up closer because some people said they needed to see better, so I was trying to be more accommodating. Okay, so let's see, what are we going to start with? Okay, I'm going to start with, this is actually a vintage page from, this is from a Work Basket magazine, August of 1972. So I'm going to use the top here, and I'm not going to be perfect about it. I'm just going to rip it around, and I'm not even going to use my tear ruler today. I'm just going to sort of want it to look like it's battered a little bit, like it's aged a little bit, and been beat up a little bit. Oops. That's okay. And we're going to ink around the edges. I don't ink really hard, just sort of real light, because it is a vintage page, so I am making a pocket out of this. Normally I would not make a pocket out of this. However, there's a couple reasons why I feel okay using it for a pocket. The first thing, I'm going to have a multitude of things over top of it. So it's going to be, you know, thickened up and strengthened from that. Secondly is the part that doesn't have a lot of stuff over it, we're actually using the, oh yeah, the iridescent gel medium that we made. And, you know, if you watch that, you'll know that you use Mod Podge in it. So if anybody's worked with Mod Podge, which I'm sure mostly a lot of people have, it strengthens very well. So, okay, so we're just going to lay this down. Right there, looks good. And again, I don't fuss over it, just plop it on there. Okay, so where we got our base down. So next I want to use, this is a piece of a vintage music sheet, and I'm not even gonna, I'm just gonna tear off a piece and ink it up. And this is just, I just want to add some different colors and things like that. So, and this is vintage too. This is actually from the 60s. So, let's see, where do I want to put this? I don't think I want to cover up that picture. Yeah, let's do it that way. And I'm gluing this all the way around. Technically you could leave it open and you would have, you know, you could create several little tucks. I'm just putting it as a base, so not that concerned with it. Okay, then let's see what else I have over here. I had a little piece of, okay, I have this scrap of sewing pattern that I want to use, and we can see through it, so I think, oh, let me ink up around the edges, and this is a little harder to ink, so you have to sort of lay it against my finger and ink it or rub it against. So, you guys in the comments, let me know what you think so far about the, 25 days of Christmas, if you're liking it, if you want to see more. I mean, obviously I'm going to do it till the 25th, but, if there's certain things you want to see, I think I'm actually going to put this above the top of the pocket, sort of as sort of like you'd put lace across the top, and I'm just going to put a little glue across there, because it usually sticks pretty well. And since you can see through it, I'm just going to layer it at the top of the pocket. Let's do it that way. Then you sort of get it, but you can still see all the other pages through it. I think I want to actually create a little, maybe a little bit more roughness over there, so I think I'll put that, sort of create a faux fold. Yeah, I really like how that layered up. Okay, so now I want to use some of this doily that I have. Let's just whack off a piece, and I just cut it off because I can always trim it up later. Okay, where do I want to put this? I think I'm going to put this along the, let's see, I don't want to do it that way because what if we do it like that? Let's see. We could do it in the middle and actually create some hang off at the bottom. Sort of add a lacy layer. Cover my glue up. And then I'll be using the Fabri-Tac. If you're using any kind of, well, fabric, lace, leather, any kind of trims, anything like that. So I know I want all to hang off, so I'm just going to glue across the bottom here because I want to make sure that it holds itself. Then all this right in here, and I just sort of go over and highlight, the areas where there's more little crocheted knots. This is actually a doily this isn't a vintage doily. I actually made this doily several years ago. So I don't know if anybody crochets or fillet crochets, which is what it's called when you make doilies, using your crochet thread. And I don't know if anybody does, or if anybody would be interested in a tutorial to learn. That is something I can do. My mom tried to teach me to crochet when I was a kid, and it just never sunk. And then as an adult, I started to. But here's let me see if I can. That's the whole doily that I made. And since I made it, I don't feel half as bad cutting it up versus if somebody else would have made it. I don't know why we all seem like we do that. Okay, so we're going to set that to the side. While this is drying, we're going to get out this is our iridescent gel medium that we made earlier. And it, has Mod Podge in it. And, I'll put that tutorial, like I said, down below. You could also add glitter to it. If you'd want to add glitter to it, you could. And I'm just going to I'm actually going to cover this in its entirety because, you know, it's pretty much snow covered. The only thing I'm not going to cover is where the little barns are. I'm going to cover the top where, you know, the snow is. And I'm putting a nice thick coat on. This will create, well, when it dries it'll be shimmery, but besides the shimmer, if you've ever, you know, had the opportunity to see a postcard that almost has like the velvet on it, that's really what it reminds me of, more so than even the glittery postcards, you know, that have the glitter glued on it. But this actually, I'm going to put a little bit more down here because it doesn't take long to dry at all if you put a thin coat. Okay, so while that's doing that, I'm going to reach over here. I'm going to grab my page because I want some at the top. And I'm just going to do a thin coat. I want the shimmer. Because of the snow, I want, you know, the whole page to sort of have that shimmer. And I'm just doing a light coat. One thing you want to make sure that you don't do is, you know, be careful about getting along your edges where your pages meet, like, you know, the inside, because it will glue it together. Just like if you use Mod Podge on your page. Same thing with your pocket opening. I sort of stay away from that because I don't want to glue my pocket down, and I'm just randomly going on there. And I'm going to come down here, randomly put some down here. And like I said, you know, if you put some on there, you're actually just strengthening your pocket. So, and it doesn't take that long to dry. So by the time we get done doing this and add the other and get done, it'll be okay. No, I'm gonna set that aside again, and then I just put my brush down in water and I'll wash it after we get finished. It'll keep it in the water. Okay, so let me pull this back over. I don't know why I did that. So on it, let me make sure I'm back in camera. Yeah, I am. Okay, so I'm gonna try to see if you can see the shimmer on that. Yeah, you can some, and that's dried. It's just you got the shimmer effect on there. So we're gonna, I think I'm actually gonna do it down here where we can see some of that above and below. And since I'm gonna be doing it over top the doily, I'm gonna use Fabri-Tac on the back. So it's still a teeny tiny bit wet on the outside edges, so, but we can go ahead and glue the back. Okay, let's put this right. Ooh, I sort of want to leave that edge showing too, because I like the edge on the end where it's, and it's dried on here, so enough that I can push it down. Okay. Then, let's see. I had a couple pieces of trim here that I wanted to use. Yep, here it is. Okay, I got this bit of lace, so I'm just going to run it all the way across the bottom, sort of create this multi-layered effect. Put it down, and then I was like using the flat end. Let me sort of straighten this up a little bit. Okay, and I'm just going to go straight across the bottom with that. Push it down. Lift my page up, and I'm going to make sure I sort of get it even before it dries. That's the one thing nice about Fabri-Tac, is it does leave you a little bit of time to make sure, you know, you've got everything straight and level. Okay, then I'm going to go right along underneath where, well, on this, the little ovals are. I'm going to do another. It does, Fabri-Tac does string, and I don't like that, but it's worth it for what it does. And then I have this really cute, almost like barn twine. Trim. And then put that across the bottom. Add another layer. And that's going to hang out below the bottom. It's going to look so cute. Then we're just going to trim it off. Make sure you push it down really good. That's one thing with the Fabri-Tac. You just have to make sure you push it down, give it some. If you guys can see that, make sure. Okay, so I don't know if you can see the shimmer on the top of the paper. Sometimes it's really hard to see. Hopefully you can see it as I move it. And then there is our pocket. There's our sewing pattern paper, the work basket, our music, our doily hanging out at the bottom and seen at the top. Of course, we have our little tree that we've coated with our shimmer too, and hopefully you can see that shimmery shine on there. And you know, if you play with it and you don't feel like it has enough shimmer and shine, you can put more in there. You can put glitter in there. You can do, you know, the world's your table, so go to town with it. We got our lace, so that finished our pocket. And we're not glued, it's all open. And it's extra sturdy where it's got that coat of Mod Podge and stuff on there, which makes it really nice. So there's that. So there's our second done. Now we're going to deal with our bird. So what I did is, I don't know if you can see up here, there's this natural corner almost up here. I just turn it, cut it off. Flip it over here. Trim it by doing that. Now you know you have even corners. So there's that. Let me pull our little tag out that I have over here so I can see what I did. Okay, I had found this at the Dollar Tree. And it's got these gorgeous, gorgeous gold leaves on them. So I wanted to sort of use it, but I want to make sure that my bird's not covered up, but I want to, let's see. So just have to sort of play with it so I can see. Ooh, I really like, yep, I think that'll work. So I'm just going to trim this up. And you don't have to use this as almost like a nylon netting, almost like a tool. You know, you could use it, you know, in a lot of different ways, however you wanted to. So I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to put sewing pattern paper on the back is what I want to put on there. So pull my glue out. Make sure I get around my edges really good. And you don't have to use art glitter glue for this. You can use glue stick. You know, you can use glue stick and sew around the edges. I probably will. I'm not doing so much sewing, and with this, I'm going to be starting an actual sewing journal. I have a ton of vintage sewing ephemera, so I'm going to be recreating some of it and doing that at the first of the year. So I thought I would do a lot of this sewing then, because obviously I'm going to make sure that I want a lot of sewing in it since it's a sewing journal. And again, I'm just trimming up the edges here. And I put this on first, so once we start inking, it'll be there. Okay. Let me pull that inside. Let me put my stopper on. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and ink up around the edges. And again, you know, with inking, I just sort of throw it on there. I'm not all that exact. And you know, if it's heavier in some places than the other, sort of like it like that. I like the randomness of it. And as you're going around, you may find edges like that. You just trim it off. Oops. So I'm just going to ink around the edges really fast, and then we'll stamp the back with our stamp. Okay, so we've got that. Let me find, where did I put, you know, I have all of everything up here for everything. So it's we're using the Stampin' Up! 25 Days of Christmas. You can use any kind of number set that you want. That just happens to be the one I have that I'm using. And we're on 4. Normally I like to stamp it off, but I'm not stamping it off. I want it dark on this. And I just sort of hold it down and give it time to really get into the paper. And it didn't do good through here, so let me line it back up. It's the one really nice thing about using acrylic stamps with a clear block is you can line it back up and do it. And it still didn't, apparently it's just not, and it is, it's going to have that old worn look today. So there was that. And I don't fret about that. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, oh, eternal stamp, but I sort of like that because it looks like it's worn, so it works for me. And again, you know, it's junk journaling, so what works for you may not work for the next person. That's just the way life is. Okay, so art glitter glue dries clear. So I am going to just put this around the edges to hold temporarily. Oh, well, that needs to go back on my ink anyway. Oh, and I can't get my stopper in. Well, that's what you get. Okay. Then I'm just going to line this up. I want to make sure that my bird isn't covered. So I want the big one down here. So I'm, again, just make sure most of my bird isn't covered up. Let's see. Nope, I want that at the bottom. And just line it up where you get it, and then I just sort of push around the outside edges, flatten it out as flat as you can get, so you don't have any like weebles, wobbles in there. Okay, let me find my inky paint page over here. Turn it this way. And get my rag out. This is what I usually call my gesso brush, but I do use it for Mod Podge. It's the one great thing about being water soluble. Okay, so I'm going to pull out my Mod Podge, and I'm just going to do a really thin, you don't have to use the whole jar. I know a lot of people go sort of crazy, and I'm not like, I just don't use I do a thin coat, and I'm just going to go over it. That's going to adhere that netting down. And again, you know, if you didn't want to Mod Podge, this is going to dry clear, so I mean, you're not going to be able to see it, but if you didn't want the Mod Podge, you definitely could just sew around the outside edge. And this doesn't take very long to dry. I actually think it dries faster. It's the DIY Mod Podge. I I actually think it dries a little bit faster than like your store-bought Mod Podge. Now, I will tell you, normally, I'm not going to, obviously, for the sake of time lapse in the video. Normally, what I would do, if I was doing it, I would have started out with this step. Let it dry. Then, I would have, because, I mean, if you're doing it, I mean, obviously, if you're not doing it in time to a video, you've got, you know, extra time. Then, because it does warp as far as curving a little bit, because of the Mod Podge, I would just set it under a book, you know, let it dry, set it under a book overnight, get up in the morning and finish it. Obviously, I'm not going to do that for the sake of camera time. So, when it dries, and you can, like I said, blow dry. You can use a blow dryer or a craft drying gun. Just make sure you don't get too close. A, it's netting. And B, the Mod Podge warps. If you get too close with the gun, it will melt it. Mod Podge isn't dry. And then just trim it around the edge. You can tell it's starting to dry where it's starting to get, you know, the darker color. I sort of like it because it gives it almost like that wallpapery type feel. Okay, so we have that. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next step, even though it's not quite dry, it's close enough, and you know, it's all it's going to do is let it stick some more. I have this, it's a glitter washi. You could use, you know, fat ribbon, whatever you want to use. This just happens to be glitter washi that I have. Now, if my Mod Podge was dry, and I still may anyway, because I'm just like that, but, and yes, I know I overcut that long. I'm going to go ahead, because you can tell my Mod Podge is dry and something, and I'm going to run a bead of art glitter glue down it. I always, when I use washi in journals, back it with some art glitter glue because sometimes it just doesn't stick too well. So, let's line it up here. Put it right there. Flip it over. I'm going to cut this one so it's shorter because I don't want it to come up into where I stamped. And at the top, you could do one of several things. If you have a washi chomper, you could do that. I do not have one because I have my scissors, so I just sort of make it a little flag and pull it over a little bit. And then just glue it down. And that gives you a little decoration on the back too. So, and where that Mod Podge is, it gives you a little bit of playroom. Okay, so next I have these, it's not a holly, but they're little green leaves, and I really like the way they looked. It is wood pile. I actually got mine, I think, from my Dollar Tree. No, I found these at Goodwill, is where they came from. I think you can find them, you know, at different places. I've seen them at our Target. And this is a nice little combo. It came in a little wooden box. I just transferred mine to a plastic bag. Okay, so I am just gonna throw some, again, Fabri-Tac on there because, you know, Fabri-Tac works with wood. And you have it down. I want it right here at the bottom. I really love, I'm going to pull this up and hopefully you can see after I clean the glue off of it where my fingers are all gluey. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see or not where the netting, the nylon of the tool is over it. It actually almost makes it look like it's a canvas and it's been painted. It's a really nice effect. Okay, so the next I'm going to find a little scrap piece and find the end of my washi. I'm going to stick a little bit of washi down here. It doesn't have to be really big, just a little bitty piece. And you can do this with trim or anything. I just adhered it onto a scrap piece of fabric or coffee dyed paper. Then I'm going to get my big bite. You could do it with regular hole punch. I just happen to have a big bite. I put it on 3/16, and I'll try to hold it and do it sideways so you can see. And then I just put it down there, and because it has the paper backing, and then I'm gonna just cut out 3 little holes. Okay, then I'm going to set this aside because I did that not so much for the holes. Well, I did it for the holes and not for the washi. I wanted the little holes. Then I'm going to pull my art glitter glue out, and where they're, it flipped on me. Well, sometimes you can pick it up. Then I'm just going to just group them together, almost like a holly berry look. Even though that's not a holly leaf, it sort of creates the facade. If you had holly leaves, you could use those. I didn't have any, and I looked everywhere to try to find some and couldn't find any, but as you can see, it doesn't look too bad. So, lastly, I'm going to pull out my washi again, and I'm just going to cut a strip. I'm going to fold it onto itself. Line it up. Fold it onto itself. And I cut each end. And I'm just going to fold it up. I'm going to take it to the corner. My fingers are just covered in glue. You guys, I'm so sorry. This has been one of those messy days for me. I'm going to put it in the corner. And then again, I have the Tim Holtz Ideology Tiny Attacher. And I'm just going to staple it on there. And there you go. Just cut that nylon off the side from the, you may have to trim it up a little more. And then between the Mod Podge handling in it and all that, I want to go around and hit it now that the netting's on there, or the nylon, because it's going to carry that ink onto your edges a lot better than what even very vintage fabric feel. There you go. So we created the tag, the postcard, and our cute pocket. And then with our pocket from from our little tag, and what did I do with the other piece? I put it here so it'd be out of the way. And our little ones we did yesterday fit right down in that pocket. Remember we stored them? There you go. So I have that there. I have this here. Since I used my gold clip, let me make sure you're in the frame. I'm going to put my bird tag right there. Add a pop of color. It's right there. And then this page can go right in here. Well, somewhere, you guys, I am just all out of it today. I did not sleep really well last night, and my husband was up and down all night long. It was just one of those crazy things. Maybe I have it over here. Oh, I got it over here. Then we have our card. And our altered paper clip to hold that in. Let's turn this way. There we go. That goes in there, so we're already starting to chunk up some. And we're day 4. So I will see you guys tomorrow for day 5. Hope you have a good day. Again, I will, where did our pocket go? There's our pocket. I wanted to put the ink it up around the edges. I forgot that. A very Merry Christmas. And let's see, how do I want to adhere this in? Actually, I think I'm just gonna art glitter glue. I'm gonna put it right up here where it's sort of playing at the top. And again, you could put, I don't want to take away from here. There you go. Voila. Okay, you guys, have a great day. I will see you back here tomorrow. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. Hope you're enjoying the 25 days of Christmas. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.